Nationwide is so much more than a great insurance company. They're one of America's largest financial services companies. Like how I'm more than Saquon Barkley, the NFL's reigning leading rusher. I'm also the NFL's leading husher. Shh, hush up back there. Wow, I might have just set the hushing record. Well, almost. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Investment Services Corporation, member FINRA, Columbus, Ohio.
Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.
Happy holidays! Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy Holiday.
Now tuned into the greatest.
So when that bag come, I won't fumble. I'm just stacking on the low, but hey, I'm tired of being humble. Let me get to it. That motivation music. Get control of your life, don't let nobody else do it. Cause I'm not gonna have Metro S550s cruising. Feel like you winning on the ground.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, or you just want to go ahead and get a hot take off, hit us up on the voicemail line, 219-413-9405. And of course, we will play your take back on our next episode. And then speaking of episodes, shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off of your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code The Run Podcast. Now, this code can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or website. So I don't know about you, but basketball season is rolling strong. There's a lot of concerts still happening. So you can definitely create that account, use that promo code for $20 off of your ticket purchase. Now, let's go to the NFL season because we witnessed a great game between two elite rivals, the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers. This was a 9-3 Bears team playing a 8-3-1 Packers team, but the Packers ended up winning this ball game here. As I predicted, it did come down to the wire, so that means the Bears go to 9-4. Packers take the lead in not only the division but also the NFC, and they are 9-3-1 now. So this was a very elite matchup. I love this game here. It was very back and forth. And also just a little background information about it. The Packers, they won 12 of the last 13 matchups against the Bears. So this is just incredible for them. The Bears were on a 5-game win streak heading into this matchup, but that was clearly snapped. I thought Caleb Williams did pretty good. The second half was really when we seen a lot of the Bears offense come to life. He had 2 touchdowns. He led them on 3 scoring drives, and ultimately they had 18 plus points in the second half, so I can't even be mad about the Chicago Bears. And the Packers, they played a pretty clean game all around as well. I was actually thoroughly impressed offensively. I know I've talked bad about the Packers offense and them not really living up to certain standards, but the Packers offense delivered. Jordan Love threw for 234 yards, had 3 touchdowns as well. Josh Jacobs had a pretty good day, 86 rushing yards, 1 touchdown. Christian Watson also had a pretty good day as well, 89 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. And, I thought it was pretty back and forth. A lot of evenly matched things happening in this game. As I mentioned before, I was saying, both teams pretty kind of take care of the ball well. Bears, their thing is forcing turnovers. Packers' thing is not turning the ball over. And we kind of seen both sides of that But if anything here, the narrative that I kind of wanted to put to rest here is that the Bears are frauds. I know a lot of people seen the rankings of the Bears being the number one team in the NFC for maybe just 4 days or 5 days in the week. And then all of a sudden they drop down to number 7 just because of the way the records are in the NFC. A lot of close teams with the similar record. So that's why the Bears dropped as far as they did. But I think if you watch this game against the Packers and the Bears and your conclusion was that the Bears are a bad team or the Packers are a bad team, maybe you just don't know football as well as you did. Again, the Bears, yes, they started off a little bit slow, but 18 points in one half against a solid football team, a team that's ranked 6th in passing yards allowed, and a team that has allowed under 100 yards on average rushing. So, to me, if you watch this game and that's the conclusion you came up with, you clearly wasn't watching the right game. Bears put up 138 rushing yards, so it clearly says a lot when there's a team that doesn't allow many 100-yard games being had on the rushing end for certain offenses, and then yet the Bears come in their house and rush for over 100 rushing yards. So, there wasn't really any turnovers. I thought it was clean for the most part. Caleb Williams, in the stat sheet, it shows 1 interception, but really all game he didn't have any turnovers besides that absolute last possession of the ball game there. So I wouldn't even hold that account on. I wouldn't even hold that against him, honestly, because there was just a breakdown there. And honestly, when you go back and look at exactly what happened in that play, you can see that it was just a great defensive effort from the Green Bay Packers. Going back to when I seen that, and I'll pull it up in just a sec, but I thought it was just a great defensive effort all around, especially considering that the Packers needed to stop and the Bears kind of had to throw the ball. It was just 4th down and your goal line, you got to get there. Yes, some people say DJ Moore was open and things like that. He could have dropped it to him, but ultimately it looks like Caleb tried to make the right read. He just put a little bit too much air on it and he underthrew it a little bit, man. It was just a simple mistake on his end. Yeah, you got DJ Moore there and he could have dropped it to him, but also there's a lot of defenders in this area where Caleb Williams is or where DJ Moore is located right here. And, when you're looking for your first option, which is to score, and usually that's open, you see the corner or safety come from the entire other side of the field to pick up the guy who was in the end zone. I don't think that was initially where he was supposed to go and initially who he was guarding in the beginning of this play. So it was a very interesting thing. And, you just have to go back and look at that play often and you'll see there was a couple different options, but ultimately I think you can sum it up by saying the Green Bay Packers just had a great defensive effort there. And they did their thing, man. But definitely I wouldn't sit here and say that one of these teams are scrubs or either of these teams are truly bad. And I think that narrative has to get put to rest as well with the Green Bay Packers because neither team played bad in this matchup, man. And, if you looked at this and you didn't see anything other than 2 playoff teams and 2 promising teams, there's a problem because I look at the Packers and see what they did. I look at the Bears and see what they did. Both teams moved the ball offensively. They played pretty solid defense, forced a turnover. Neither team gave up a bunch of sacks. The offensive line on both sides of the ball was pretty sturdy. Bears protected Caleb Williams. Packers protected Jordan Love. There was not a lot of drop passes. Both controlled the clock very well. This was just a very solid football game and a very organized football game. I thought the coaching was on point for both sides of the ball. And, when you look at the experience of each team, you can't help but to notice that Matt LaFleur has been with his group a little bit longer. Jordan Love has been with his group a little bit longer, whereas Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson are still all adjusting. This is the first season with that new squad. So you see here, you say, oh, well, the Bears, they look overrated and they're frauds, all of that. Well, they just had a great passing game against a team who's 6th in passing yards allowed, a team that rarely allows 100 rushing yards. They rushed for over 100 against the Packers, who's a solid defensive team. And then you also talk about how the Bears put up 18 points in a single half, multiple touchdowns in that single half. So I look at this here as 2 dangerous football teams, but ultimately this is the first year of Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams in this offense. So it's only going to get better and better for this team here. And honestly, we've seen this team get better and better as the year has progressed week after week. So I wouldn't dare call the Bears frauds. I wouldn't dare even throw that narrative out there, because I'm sure in a couple weeks when they play the Green Bay Packers again in Chicago, we're going to see another organized Bears team that probably even wins the game. And I'm on record already saying that I think the Bears win at home. I think these two rivals split. Packers have won their game, and I just don't see them really sweeping the Bears when the Bears go back home to Chicago. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out and see what this does here. But ultimately, the NFC North is very, very, very stacked, man. It's crazy what's going on there. There's about 5 weeks left in football, and it's dangerous. So Packers have the number 1 seed. They're number 1 in the NFC North right now. Bears are number 2 in the NFC North. And then you have the Lions. Lions are 8-4. Bears are 9-4. And you have to keep in mind that the Bears will play the Lions of the last week of football. So that game is kind of lining up to be a very, very intense game, and the deciding factor of if the Lions get in the playoffs or if the Bears get in the playoffs. So it's going to be so much fun to watch. And the biggest difference maker here will be if the Packers go back to Chicago and defeat the Chicago Bears, because at that point, that means they would have swept the Lions and they would have swept the Chicago Bears. So it could be tough, and that kind of guarantees the Packers that priority in that division, and kind of guarantees that they win the division because they'll have the most division wins. And yeah, that'll be insane, man. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the NFC North here, man. Lions got to continue to take care of business as well to really make that last game against the Bears mean something. If not, then the Bears will kind of just be able to cruise over to the finish line, and that game won't mean much. But the way it's lining up right now, it's interesting, man, because I can't wait. It's a battle over in the NFC North. That's all I can say, man. It's a lot of battles going on over there. Other than that, look, man, we got some more stuff coming up. So don't go anywhere. We got some more things. Just some news for the run to kind of recap everything that happened in week 14. Also, we got coaches that's blaming players. It seems like they're throwing shade and blaming players. So we'll explain that in just a little bit and harp on that. But don't go anywhere. It's halftime. We also have some film later on in the show as well from the game. So don't go anywhere in terms of the show. We'll be right back. It's halftime, and we'll be back. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson. I appreciate you for tuning in. Hit us up on the voicemail line, 219-413-9405. And, of course, we'll play your take back on the next episode, air it live and all of that, and then clip it up and put it on the socials as well. So, look, we got some news for the run just to kind of give a recap of everything that's going on in week 14 of the NFL. Let's start off with Thursday Night Football. You got the Dallas Cowboys. They played the Detroit Lions, and the Lions, they ended up beating them 44-30. It was a very high-scoring game, but Gibbs, he also tied the legendary Barry Sanders in touchdown score before age 24. So, incredible achievement there for Jahmyr Gibbs and the Detroit Lions. Then you got the Cincinnati Bengals. They played the Buffalo Bills. This was also a great matchup. It was a snow game, but the Buffalo Bills pulled out the win 39-34. The Cleveland Browns, they fell short to the Tennessee Titans. This was Shedeur Sanders versus the number 1 pick, Cam Ward. The Titans ended up winning that game 31-29, but nevertheless, it was very entertaining to see these young quarterbacks duel. It's very, very certain. I don't know why there may have been any hesitation to not starting Shedeur Sanders at quarterback. At this point, he's shown that he's clearly better than all the other options that was outweighing him earlier on in the season. So the throws that he's made, his reaction time, his IQ, all of these things that's coming together as we watch Shedeur Sanders in the NFL more and more, it's just more and more evident that something was being held against him. I know we go back to the interviews, things of what the hell he was doing in the interviews, but I mean, to watch this kid practice week after week for 14 weeks and then you still don't decide he's going to be the starting quarterback, ain't no way he could have bombed the interviews that bad, where he's just not playing after having this much skill over the other options that was there for the Cleveland Browns. I just don't see that. being a thing. It's silly, man. And it just tells me Stefanski wanted to get fired at this point. Like, why? What are you doing to sit there and practice and watch this man ball out like this every week, all season, and you still don't want to give him a shot? Crazy. Beats me. And I know at this point I see Cleveland Browns are fans of Cleveland Browns, like, they see it and they're like, thank you, finally. The future is here. But hey, hopefully the Browns continue to do well. Anyway, the Minnesota Vikings, they smacked the Commanders 31-0. But however, Commanders did fall short because Jaden Daniels was injured once again. He went down in the game, and it happened to, I think it was an elbow injury or a shoulder injury. It was on the same arm. He dislocated his elbow. So he's been having a very rough season with injuries. I'm sure that could be extremely frustrating for him. So hopefully he gets a speedy recovery and can get back on the field, or at least get back to working out pretty soon and build those healthy habits. So a rough game for the Commanders there as they lose. You got the Miami Dolphins. They ended up beating the New York Jets 34-10, as I predicted. I think I did pretty good so far this week, man. A lot of the teams I predicted to win, I said Lions was going to win. I can't remember. I think I said Bengals was going to win. Now, when Browns, I picked them to win. Vikings, I said we're going to end up winning. Dolphins, I did say they were going to win. But, about half and half, but it's cool. I was wrong on this game here, though. The New Orleans Saints, they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't know how. I kept my eye on this game just a little bit, but the Aints ended up winning, man, 24-20. So they moved to 3-10, and the Buccaneers still kind of got an advantage in the division, but I think Panthers might end up pulling away. So we'll see. Now the Indianapolis Colts played the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I did predict this game correct as well. The Jaguars ended up winning this ball game 36-19. And sad news for the Colts, but Daniel Jones is currently out with an it's an Achilles injury, correction. Daniel Jones will not be returning for the rest of the season. And as of right now, there's been a lot of rumors going on today that the Colts are actually looking at Phillip Rivers. I kid you not. Phillip Rivers. Don't know if he's coming back from retirement, but Hall of Famer Phillip Rivers possibly might make a comeback with the Colts. This is what the rumors are saying. So weird, but anything I don't know, man. After seeing Joe Flacco, I kind of have a new belief in these quarterbacks that maybe they can just get out here, make a couple passes, and things can be okay. Because Joe Flacco stepped in for multiple teams. Stepped in for the Browns, was kind of balling out a little bit, and then he went to the Bengals and he made Joe Burrow's job look very easy. So maybe Phillip Rivers can go out here and make Daniel Jones' job look like it's very easy. So we'll see. Other than that, you had the Pittsburgh Steelers playing the Baltimore Ravens. They ended up defeating the Baltimore Ravens. I was wrong on this game. I said the Ravens were going to win because they were at home. However, the Steelers won 27-22. Then you had the Denver Broncos. They smacked up the Raiders 24-17. And this is huge for the Broncos because this is their 10th straight win. 10-game win streak for the Broncos. 11-2. This team, they've been hot. You can say what you want about their schedule, but this team has been hot. It's hard to win football games in the NFL, and they've been winning them whether it's against a good team or a bad team. So shout out to the Broncos. As I mentioned, the Packers, they beat the Bears as I predicted as well. So that was, another game I got right. I got right the Bronco games as well. So Packers, they beat the Bears 28-21. You got to go back and listen to the breakdown of that game there. Then you had the Rams. They beat the Cardinals 45-17, which was a huge blowout. And then Chiefs, they fell short. They're just as much as their playoff dreams. They're going to be done. But the Texans ended up winning as I predicted, 20-10. And then the last game I predicted was the Atlanta Falcons, man. They lost to the Seahawks. And I kind of knew that was going to happen. I just didn't think the score was going to be this far apart, 37-9. And then the last game for the week 14, we have the Philadelphia Eagles playing the Chargers. As of right now in the second quarter, the Chargers are winning that ball game 7-3. But anything can happen, and the game is in LA. But just as a reminder, I did predict that the LA Chargers was going to win this game. So we'll see what happens. But furthermore, man, let's go back because my Falcons, they played the Seahawks, and I kind of didn't know exactly what was going on here with this team. I thought it was going to be a little bit closer just because statistically teams are a little bit evenly matched in what the record says. And I've seen a lot of different things from the Falcons in terms of, sometimes they play good, sometimes they play bad. And in this instance here, I just so happened to see the Falcons play very, very good in the first half, and then in the second half, they did not play good. However, the thing that I mentioned is that head coach Raheem Morris, he might have threw some shots at the players and said that they're not playing hard enough and they're not doing enough and just giving enough effort on the field. Now, this is just one example of everything he's been saying. And as you see my comment here. This man Raheem is awful, blaming the players as if they aren't executing a half-ass game plan. I'm not having it. So Raheem Morris, head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, said the Falcons are searching for someone to step up and make a play on a third down. And quote directly, he said, it's all going to come down to execution and that dog making that play. Crazy. This is what he's saying about the Atlanta Falcons team that has awful coaching, that has awful direction, that has awful leadership. And I can't let it slide, man, because, I'm just not going to let him put this on the players as if these guys aren't executing and nobody has that dog in them when we seen Drake London do multiple things that prove he had that dog in him. When we seen Michael Penix go out there, play injured and still prove that he had that dog in him. When we see Bijan Robinson go out here and play like he has that dog in him. And this comment in particular makes no sense when he's saying, we have to have someone show us they got the dog in them, but it makes no sense because it's all going to come down to execution and that dog making that dog play. Are you kidding me? So now we don't have dogs on the Atlanta Falcons. Meanwhile, Bijan Robinson is leading the NFL in yards per touch, averaging almost 6.5 yards per touch, and he doesn't have that dog in him. With a half-ass play call every single time, he doesn't have that dog in him. It's not on the players, man. I'm going to tell you that right now. The only other players to have that average as high as Bijan Robinson in yards per touch was Marshall Faulk in 1999 and Barry Sanders in 1997. So you can't give me that excuse of, guys just don't have that dog in them. I'm waiting to see somebody have that dog in them. Hell no, bro. How about we see that offensive coordinator have that dog in them and call something that makes some damn sense instead of 3 screen passes in a row? Because this is what I'm witnessing when I see this Atlanta Falcons team on the field. And I'll be the first to say they kind of regressed a little bit in the second half, but ultimately it falls on the leadership because we got rid of a guy early on in the season for quote unquote no reason really. But yeah, our special teams has been costing us week after week after week, and we still has not made any changes on the special teams. And then even more, you say ain't nobody got that dog in them. Let me just go over this before I jump too far away. Let me just go in the game of the Seahawks and the Falcons. Now, mind you, this Seahawks and Falcons game, all right, look, I know the score reflects something nasty, 37-9. Disgusting, right? Falcons lost 37-9. It was a bad game. Falcons lost 37-9. And mind you, the game was tied 6-6 at halftime. The Falcons then went on and gave up 31 points in the second half of this ball game. There was 3 points in the second half, the entire second half from the Atlanta Falcons. And even better, the kicker, Zane Gonzalez, was the only one who scored points for the Atlanta Falcons in this entire ball game against the Seattle Seahawks. He kicked 3 field goals, which gave us our 9 points. And even worse, our receivers as a whole had 31 receiving yards total for all wide receivers in the game. 31 total. But yet, our head coach is waiting for somebody to show them that they got that dog in them and convert on third down. Bro, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I literally watched the Falcons as we were trailing 23-6. We kicked a field goal instead of being aggressive on 4th and 2. Goal line. What are we doing? We're waiting to see somebody have that dog in them. Like, bro, I'm trying to watch you have the dog in you, but you're kicking field goals when we clearly ain't got nothing to lose. The game is on the line. The game was a deciding factor on if we were going to be eliminated for the season of playoff contention or not. But yeah, we're kicking field goals when we're down 23-6 in the 4th quarter. Come on, man. I'm not having it, man. It's not on the players to just execute. There are plays where they lack effort. I'll be the first to admit it, especially after looking film. There are some plays where the Falcons lack effort. But when we finish a game with only 31 receiving yards total for all of our wide receivers, that is not on the players. Maybe if we didn't call a screen pass every 3 plays or every 3 downs, we'd be able to get the ball downfield and get some points on the board. But Bijan, he's not even on the field on crucial third downs. We're leaving Bijan Robinson, one of the best running backs in the NFL right now. We're leaving Bijan Robinson off the field and on crucial third downs and fourth downs. Meanwhile, Bijan Robinson somehow still leads the NFL in total yards in a game. Like, it makes no sense, man. It makes no sense. The way this Atlanta Falcons team is misusing all of the pieces they have. And granted, I know they don't have the most talented roster in the NFL, but they definitely have some talent. Enough to succeed and get to the playoffs. The way the coaching staff is misusing this roster, it's criminal. It is criminal, man. It is criminal. I literally watched us call multiple screenplays on back-to-back possessions. Back-to-back possessions. And if it's play action, then I'm watching Kirk Cousins just dump it to the flats without even looking at other options that's downfield. Like, it's ridiculous to me. So I see this thing, and it just truly seems, genuinely, it truly seems as if the players after the second half felt very unmotivated. It seems like they lacked motivation and began to just kind of digress from the game and just kind of put their shoulders down and say whatever. Like, next week, same thing, another week, same thing, different week. That's what it seemed like happened. So we're going to break down some film. But before I break down some film, let me wrap up the show for the pod listeners here. Man, I appreciate you guys for listening, of course. Definitely send this to a cousin, a brother, uncle, niece, nephew, coworker, friend, family member. I appreciate it either way. I'm sure worst case they just won't listen, so shoot it their way either way. And then I'm gonna leave on a positive note. The positive note is just gonna be, I can't believe I gotta think positive after talking about this Falcons team. That's the real challenge. The positive note is just gonna be there's always something positive to say and think. There's always a positive outlook on any situation. I know the Falcons suck right now, but the positive outlook is James Pierce Jr. is the first rookie to have 5 straight sacks in each game since Micah Parsons. So there are some positive things you can always find. And that'll be the positive note. Other than that, look, man, that's all I got for you guys. So I appreciate you for tuning in, for kicking it with me. And we'll be back later on this week. Falcons got the Thursday night game. Oh, man, I'm scared. I'm scared. And so on. Look, I'll be back later on this week, and so on, and so on, and so on.
Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.
Happy holidays! Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy Holiday. If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.